All right, Homesteader family, welcome back to the journey. Welcome to this edition of the Sunday Monday vlog. Max is over here trying to get some loves. The dogs got to go to the homestead today. It's been beautiful, at least today. We've got a lot of beautiful weather coming up. We're in the mid 50s to 60s. So finally getting back to the groove of things, getting things done this past week. Had a bunch of rain. I did that post. I showed the pool in the back, the big 16-foot deep hole. I had somebody comment that you ain't going to dig a 16-foot hole in Arkansas because there's a lot of rock here. But I said, go back and look. It's a 20-foot culvert vertical. I think it's only like 4.5 feet of culvert sticking out of the hole. And I'm in a deeper part. So the pool's filled with water. I have plenty of water. I won't have to haul water from the restaurant. I don't have to pay to use extra city water. I'll be able to use my trash pump in the back, fill up a tank on my trailer, take the trailer up just like I was doing from here. Got a bunch of rain yesterday, so I've had several days that I haven't done much because it's wet, pouring down rain for 12, 14, 16 hours a day. So, of course, we know I'm not going to work in the rain. I did get over in between the different rainstorms. I cut a load of firewood, got firewood brought over here. So you can see I'm stacked up over there. The wheelbarrow is completely filled, and outside's filled. You can see the stoves going. Just got some nice coals. Today, since it was a beautiful, beautiful day, the dogs got to go in the afternoon. In the morning, I went over, tried to do a little bit, got the animals fed. I got to get them hay tomorrow. They're good on water because we've had plenty of rain. We had, I think, just around 5 or 6 inches of rain. Some parts of Arkansas. Oh, definitely keep it warm, DT. We're in the 60s. I was driving back and forth today. This morning it was 42 with my windows down. And then, of course, it was 56 coming home this afternoon / evening. It was like 4:30. 56 degrees with the windows down. Listen to music. But got over there, took care of animals, started cutting up some the small trees and everything up by the house site on top of the mountain. What I'm doing, I've kind of changed my idea a little bit. I wanted to leave a whole lot of trees up there because I'm on top of the mountain, so I don't want the real windiness, which I know I'm going to get the windiness because on the south side I had to clear cut the trees for the solar. The north side I wasn't going to touch. But then I started thinking, if I leave all these small trees and saplings, spring is around the corner. And today, we're in January, so for most of you don't understand this, but today, January, I found my first tick. So if I don't thin out the north side of the top of the mountain, it's just going to be an infestation of seed ticks and all that, because with all the little twigs and branches, they're covering everything. If it's just the trunks of the trees going straight up, you're only going to have the ticks in the leaves and eventually maybe get some grass growing. So I'm clearing out a bunch of the trees. Of course, everything's still wet and damp, so I'm not working on the tiny home, shed, conversion, whatever you want to call it, quite yet. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it this upcoming week because I'm focusing on just clearing the woods right now on top of the house site. I also started cutting up all the trees that I fell on the south side of the mountain where the solar's going to go. It's a lot of trees. That's going to take me probably a month to get all that taken care of. So now that I'm cutting them down to log size, I've got a bazillion logs everywhere. Not ready to burn this year. Next winter, coming up in November, December, going into January, it'd be cured. But I'm going to have so much, it will have 2 years or more to cure. The problem I'm running into now is I have nowhere to put the wood. If I leave it on the ground, it's going to rot right away. Out here with all the humidity, the moisture, and you leave a log on the ground for, I don't know, 2 months, 3 months, and it starts growing mushrooms on it if it's contact with the ground. I don't want to fill a bunch of trees up again the way I did in the beginning when I was just trying to get the logs off the ground. I want something permanent. So, all those cinder blocks that I hauled from Colorado, they're older cinder blocks, uh, not in the best shape. They're starting to get the green algae on the outside of them. Um, but I have about a pallet load of those. So I just started hauling up some of the cinder blocks. I still got like 2, 3 more truckloads because I'm not filling the whole truck up. I'm just doing small spurts um, because just moving all the blocks and everything is a pain. But I'm thinking about doing like what Home Free Alaska had, and they've got like a building outlay and they stack the firewood up. So what I'm thinking about doing is do 4 corners with cinder blocks, come up maybe 3 tiers, run the rebar through, concrete them. They're going to be dry stacked, and then put a bracket on the top of the 4 pier cinder blocks, and then buy some beams, throw some beams up, and then do a roof. And then from cinder block to cinder block, cinder block, cinder block, and then I'll leave the one side open. I'm thinking about doing rectangles, so I'll leave the short end open. But then I can run metal angle iron or something between the cinder blocks, and then that way I can stack that as firewood. And then inside of that area, I'll be able to put all like my garden tools and all that type of stuff to stay out the weather. That doesn't need to be like inside a building. And then put a roof on it eventually, and that will give me more rain catchment. So when I get my water cisterns in the future, then I'll have water from that roof. I'm also thinking about, since I got a bunch of the cinder blocks, about doing a little makeshift like porter potty house, because I've got nowhere to go the bathroom on the homestead unless you're squatting in the woods like a bear does, and that gets old. So I'm thinking about doing that too. So I'm adding more irons to the fire. Not sure what I'm gonna do each week now because I've got a million things to do. Like I said, I need everything to dry out first before I start working on the tiny shed conversion. And then I'll get back to that, get that done, because like I said over here, the inverter finally came in after all this time. I was supposed to have it last year. Finally, 2 companies later, well, 3 companies because Signature Solar was still sold out. So 3 companies later, I finally got an inverter in. That's all I need now to do power. Because of finances and all that right now, and I'm not paying off my credit cards, I'm paying interest. I'm not going to try to stack anything else on my credit cards right now. Right now, should have my credit cards paid back off by March as long as nothing crazy happens. I'm going to cut back on my spending all of February, so that way I know for sure I can pay off credit cards in March, so I'm not paying that interest. February, I'll pay like $40 or $50. So it's not a lot, but $40 or $50 a month adds up. And of course, if I keep stacking debt, then I'll be back up to $200-$300 a month in interest. And I don't want to do that. So I think I'm going to do what Steve did temporarily, like he did temporarily. And that is just lay the solar panels on the ground and put some boards underneath just to prop it up off the ground. Got to worry about animals trotting, not mine, deer, stuff like that. Got to worry about wind and things like that. But if, I've got enough cables and stuff like that for Steve to hook up the system and get 4 panels together until I have the racking, which that's going to be a while. But then that way I can get the batteries over there in the battery box, get the inverter over there, have Steve hook everything up in the tiny house, hook up the 4 panels, so then that way whatever power I use, I'm not staying there. The 4 panels will recharge the batteries over the days. Then that way I can do different stuff over there. I can take my small 700 watt microwave over there and be able to take like the ramen noodles, the rice-a-ronis, and stuff like that that you've seen stocked up on my shelves. So that way I can make lunch on the homestead and not drive back and forth each day. Try to start saving money that way as well. This upcoming week, it's going to be clearing the brush up there, stacking the fence lines. I'm starting to go down over the mountain now on the property line with my neighbors. So I want to try to get as much of the property line done with my brush pile fencing due to I'm going to have the dogs over there and I'm not going to be able to do the fencing for them yet. So at least the brush pile fencing, 6 foot tall, that's keeping the dogs from going through that. All 4 of them were there today. They all listened. When I started going down the mountainside, of course, they all try to go around the brush pile. So that's another reason why I want to extend it as far as possible, because then they have to go a long distance to get around it. And I should be able to rein them in before them. We do have some rain coming in later this week. So if I don't get to the tiny home, then I'll do that next weekend. If I do get to that point, then I will start working on the tiny home again. I gotta get the insulation in the ceiling. I gotta put in some fur strips in the ceiling because the boards aren't gonna fit the way I need them to fit. So I have to tack on 2x2s so I have something to screw to. Get the plywood up, get the insulation in the ceiling, and then get all the tin up in the ceiling. Before I can get the tin up, I need to get all the electric done. So I need to mark out all the outlet boxes. I need to run all the wiring. I'm not sure if I have enough wiring. I still have a $100 Home Depot card, so that's not going to get me a bunch of wire, but it should get me enough to at least finish, because it's like $209 now for a roll of, I think it's 10 gauge. It's the yellow conduit wire. But I'm going to start working on that. I'm out of propane, so I'm going to have to go to town sometime this week, go get my propane bottles filled up, so that way I can have a propane bottle in the shed. So we are going to get back down in the 40s towards, I think, Thursday or Friday, and going in the weekend it's going to be in the 40s. So I want to make sure I have propane so I can run that heater inside the tiny home. So that way, if the weather's bad or the weather's cold, I can be nice and toasty. I can stay over there if I have the energy and I'm not sore and things like that after doing hard work that I'm doing now. Then I'll do, probably some all-nighters where I'm there till 12, 1, 2 in the morning like I did before, just to get things knocked out. I still have the windows I need to put in. So I have a bunch of stuff I can do. I don't have money to go finish the tiny home, but I have the 3 windows. I have the tin for the ceiling. I have the plywood for the ceiling. I have the insulation for the ceiling. I have the outlet boxes for the outlets. And I have a real small partial roll of the electric wire. So I should be able to at least get half of the wiring ran, because all the wire is going to have to go to the other side of the shed. So it's going up the walls, across the ceiling, down. And then I got to buy a breaker box. So they're like $200, I think. Probably more now. But I need to buy one of those too. So I don't have everything I need to finish, but I've got plenty of projects. I still have all the tongue and groove, the 6-inch pine that I'm doing the walls in. So I still have all that. I can cut, finish. I have all the nails for the nail gun, so I can put all those boards up, run the electric, get the ceiling insulated, get the tin up, and then worry about the breaker box later. I can just have all the wires dangling, wire everything in after that. Put the windows in. I have all the caulk here. So I've got a lot of projects to keep me going. I do plan to get over there. I know I have a lot of people asking, a lot of people that call me that I talk to. They're wondering when exactly am I going over. At this point, I don't know. Like I said, my goal was by April 1st on my New Year's new goal board over there. It was April 1st. I don't think I'm going to hit April 1st. Why? my credit cards aren't going to be paid off until March now. That's if nothing happened. My truck don't break. There's not an emergency vet visit for one of the animals. Yada, yada, yada. If something does happen, then I'm looking at April's money is going to cover my debt. If I do pay off in March, then I'm going to have roughly $700 left over in April. The problem is, I get paid on 1st. So therefore, I won't be in April 1st because I don't get the money then. And $700 isn't going to give me what I need to get there. I still got to buy the stain, the polyurethane, the molding, trim, all that type of stuff so I can finish the shed because I don't want to live in a construction zone. I want this done. So that way I can just grab my couches, one couch, the other couch will stay here, grab my bed, grab the fridge, grab the freezer, load everything on trailer, get everything in the shed, move in. I don't want to move all that stuff in and have to go buy plastic, cover all my stuff, move all the stuff back and forth in the shed so I can get stain or cut wood and there's wood dust and all that stuff done. So I'm going to be smart this time. Like I said, didn't want to rough it. That's why I'm spending the money to make the shed look nice because I'm going to be living in it for a while. I'm not going to have running water. That's enough suffering. So without running water, it's definitely harder to clean up. So another reason why I want everything stained, polyurethane, sealed, done. So that way when I move in, I don't have to worry about cleaning. It's all cleaned up and ready to go. Maybe by June, but then again, I still need other batteries. I need 4 more batteries. I need either generator or I need to buy the racking. The racking is more expensive than generator. So then I'll be looking at generator. And then of course, like I say, if I spend a couple $100 buying the parts that Steve needs to see if my generator that I have works, that might work, or that could be a couple $100 down the drain. So I'm still not sure what I'm going to do on that aspect. So if I end up spending a couple $100 for parts instead of buying a $1,000 generator and the generator works, then that gets me a lot closer to moving in because then I'll have a way to charge my 2 batteries and then I don't need the other 4 batteries. I will need the extra batteries for summer because the air conditioner unit, I'm going to have the fridge, the freezer, all that stuff over there. So 2 batteries is only 10,000 watts. So you can only use, I forget how much, I think it's like 8,000 watts. And here at the restaurant, I go between 10 to 12 kilowatts a day. However, the shed's going to be insulated. It's going to be sealed, smaller area, less area to cool, and things like that. So I think I'm going to use a lot less power. I'm not sure. So we're going to find out once I get the shed done, get the inverter over there, get battery box over there, get Steve to hook everything up. If it works, I can keep the temperature cool enough to live in it, then I'll be over there this summer. But if not, if things go bad or other costs add up that I can't do it, then I'll be looking at this fall or maybe winter or maybe next year. Originally, I was talking 10 years anyhow, and then I bumped it up to 2 years from now, and now I bumped it up to this year, to April, and so we're going to see just where it goes. So, don't know about you guys, but it might be time to move. I'm going to go on a total different subject that I normally don't cover. I'm going to talk about some current news and events going on, which I'm sure a lot of you have heard about. If you haven't heard about it, then you're going to hear about it. So, the reason I say it might be the time to move is the Texas situation. I see a lot of people posting on Facebook about Texas, and I know a whole lot of people that when I moved to Arkansas, they left Colorado. I had several people tell me that I gave them the courage or the intuition or whatever you want to call it to be able to finally make the move. They wanted to move before I moved. um, but didn't think you could just do it. And I guess encouraged in a way, or whatever you want to call it. When I moved, I did it overnight. Overnight, I rented a car. I went to West Virginia, looked at West Virginia, didn't like West Virginia. Went back to Colorado. Another night, got a rental car, drove to Arkansas, looked at South Arkansas, didn't like South Arkansas. Came up North Arkansas, liked North Arkansas. Went to Bergman, where I looked at the first 40 acres. So glad I didn't buy up there. Um, then the realtor showed me the 120 acres down here in St. Joe, and I basically bought it sight unseen, for those of you that don't know the story. It was pouring down rain. Got in his side by side. I was squished up against him. I'm trying not to get wet because, I mean, it's just pouring in my side. Open ATV. Only set of clothes because I had to get back to take care of animals in Colorado. So I didn't want to be drenched. So spring or summertime, all the leaves are out. You can't see the land. Had no idea how flat or jagged or steep the homestead was, but something told me to take it, and I signed it and got financing through bank. And now I have mortgage on the homestead, and I have the homestead. So when I did that, a lot of people saw me start loading up load after load after load, 34 trips from Colorado to Arkansas, Colorado, Arkansas, Colorado, Arkansas. And they're like, if he can do it, I can do it. And a lot of people moved to different states. And it's funny now because very few people move to the wrong states. And I've seen their comments and things on Facebook right now. But with the thing going on with Texas, that's what I'm talking about. If you're for the Texas thing or you're against the Texas thing, you might want to go to whatever state suits what you prefer. But a lot of us that left Colorado, I'm seeing a lot of people that went up to Alaska, went to Tennessee, went to South Carolina, and things like that. All these states that are back in Texas. So it's funny. I made a comment on one of the guys I know that went to Alaska. He's offered me to go up and see the area that he's in when, I've always been tempted to go to Alaska. And he's an ex-Marine. And so I commented on his post. I said, see, now everybody sees why we left Colorado. Because it's basically like California run now. Because you had the 10 cents a plastic bag. You got the red flag laws. You have weapons bans. You have all different things. Colorado's not back in Texas. California ain't back in Texas. So there's a lot of things happening. Another thing is, I've been watching some movies. I know I said I'm going to cut back on some of the movies, but with rain days, I ain't got nothing else to do because I'm not going to work out in the rain. I know a lot of people say it's a lot of propaganda with the Leave the World Behind, but I just watched that. That came out November 22nd of last year. And while I was thumbing through Facebook, they have all these shorts and the TikToks and all that stuff. I don't have TikTok account. I don't have any of that type stuff. But I do sit there and watch it when I'm bored and there's nothing on TV to watch, or, I don't want to watch the same movies and stuff over and over. And there's a bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-olds. So the new generation, and they're having panic attacks in their TikToks talking about Civil War is coming, doomsday is coming, apocalypse is coming, and they went and got their Life Straw, and they got a Berkey filter system, and they bought a 50-pound bag of rice, and they're doing this and that, buying candles and camouflage and all this different stuff. Well, I didn't know what it was about, and they're all hashtag Leave the World Behind. So I'd never seen the movie, never even heard the movie. So I watched that last night, and apparently Obama or something funded it or was a part of it or something like that. So a lot of people said it's propaganda. Very good movie. Not the best acting in the world. but it got the point across. And I can say from different simulations and exercises and stuff I did in the military, that is possible on what happened in that movie. It's a 3-tier system on how you tear a country apart. Think about when we went to Iraq, Afghanistan, and everything gets destroyed, buildings, infrastructure. We do the same thing. There are no communications, then chaos ensues, and then you can go in and clean everything else up. So it's possible. With the Texas thing, everybody's talking Civil War now. And what's the big screen debut coming up this spring? The movie called Civil War. If you haven't heard of that yet or seen the trailer looks really good. I can see something like that happening, and we're getting closer and closer to those type of things. And when you have the nonstop fear porn on YouTube and TikTok and Facebook, like I said, all these kids, 18, 19, 20 years old, panic buying, going straight to the doomsday mindset, back like I did when I first woke up to everything, seen different things happening, and with the military, being prepared. Boy Scouts, wasn't as extreme, but they taught you always be prepared. Well, if you have this whole new generation that's going into the doomsday mindset, and then you have boomers and Gen Xers and millennials like me that are seeing what we grew up with being destroyed, and there's a cause at Texas that's trying to stop some of that. Well, a lot of people are jumping on that bandwagon. There's a lot of videos. There's a 20-mile convoy down there, and all these farmers went down there with their tractors and all these different things. It may be that time that you might want to move to the right state. Who knows what the right state is, but there's definitely a line being drawn between the states. 25 states back Texas. So there's more than half of the states on one side and just under half the states on the other side. Because 25 plus Texas, that's 26. There's 50 states. Do the math. So, don't know how everything's going to play out. I know from what I've done in the military and what different situations we did exercises on and prepared for and trained for and researched and everything else, and what the military can and can't do, whether you believe they can do it or not. Like Colorado Springs could be shut down in less than 2 hours. Nobody coming in, nobody going out. Can that happen to your town? It could. Could you survive something going on like that? Just like Leave the World Behind I watched last night. People had some supplies, but they didn't have enough to do everything. 2020 happened. How many people didn't have toilet paper? How many people ran out of groceries because they're used to buying groceries once a week? This ice storm, well, not ice storm, but the Arctic chill storm that just went through. How many people lost water like me? I know a lot of people lost power. Luckily, I got a power station right here next to me, so I never lose power. And if I do, it's like for 20, 30 seconds because the school, the water, the fire department all is past me right here. So they have to keep the power on for those critical infrastructure. But how many of you did not fare well in that last storm? How many of you didn't fare well in 2020? How many of you, if Civil War broke out, will not fare well? So not only might this be the time that you want to make a move, but now might be the time you might want to homestead. Now might be the time you might want to garden. Now might be the time you might want to become a light to semi-medium prepper and start adding little extra stuff. I know money's tight. Luckily, Some prices are coming down. My dog food that I buy for the dogs, I don't have stacked up right now like I used to. I'm buying a bag at a time to try to keep my finances. I'm using a lot of my stocked up stuff, so that way I can get my credit cards paid back off. But the dog food went down $3 a bag. So buying 2 bags, $6 less than what I've been paying. Still a lot higher than a couple years ago, but things are starting to come down. So on things like that, if you have a little extra money, buy a little extra. You never know what can happen. I know I talked for a year and a half that this past November we were going to see food shortages. And a lot of people said, you didn't call that right. We're not having big food shortages. Some places did have food shortages, but you also got to look at what happened prior to November. KFC, all these different places are getting bioengineered meat, bioengineered plant products, bioengineered ingredients. So are we getting the same food that we used to have? No. And by like KFC, say 100,000 pounds of chicken they normally buy. If they don't buy it, guess what? There's 100,000 pounds of chicken going to the grocery store. So do you see that food shortage? No. But the food is not getting any better. That's another thing you might want to prepare for. I will be working on that probably this week. I didn't mention it because I didn't think about it, but I do need to start those hay bale temporary gardening I'm going to do, because I do want to get some type of produce in the ground this year. Why? Things are becoming more and more inorganic. Bioengineered, chemicals, herbicides, pesticides, you name it, everything's going into food now. I'm starting to wean myself off of prepared food. So, in my sense of prepared food is I'm trying to get to items that I know what the ingredients are, or there's less than like 6 or 7 ingredients. I'm buying like cucumbers and peppers and cantaloupe and honeydew, blueberries and strawberries, green beans. I'm trying to get more regular food that doesn't have a bunch of ingredients. The peanut butter, I'm buying Smucker's, which we all know Smucker's probably ain't, but it says natural. It only has peanuts, salt, and something else. There's nothing else. It says GMO free and all that stuff on labels. Like I said, you can't ever believe the labels, because you got $1 million you can pay a company to just slap on a label. We all know that from Whole Foods that got caught back in 2006, 2008, when they got busted for selling the same produce as Walmart, but people paid 3 times the cost. And I knew a guy that was buying all that produce, giving me a hard time, telling me I'm eating unhealthy GMO food, and here he was doing the same thing, paying 3 times the amount. Do I agree with paying all the extra money for it because we're all going to die of something? No. Do I still buy 56-cent Walmart corn and green beans? Yeah. Why? Because it's better to have that than nothing. If Civil War breaks out, if Doomsday breaks out, if the apocalypse happens, if natural disaster happens. Look at Hurricane Sandy, Hurricane Katrina. How many of those people saw no food, no help for days and days and days? If they didn't have anything in their house, if they even had a house left, they had nothing to eat, nothing to survive on. So that's something you want to consider too. I've talked about it before. If you're going to prep, make sure your preps can survive whatever you're prepping to withstand. If you're prepping to withstand a tornado, then you better have a tornado type shelter for your preps, so that way it can survive the tornado. Because if your preps don't survive what you're trying to prepare for, then your preps do you no good. It's just a waste of money, time, resources, and assets that you don't need to be wasting your time on. So with Texas, don't know who out there is for it. I don't know who is out there against it. I really don't care. I welcome everybody. Like I said, I got no problem with any side of the coin because it's just coins. I'm antisocial, so I'm probably not going to see you anyhow. I do have certain people that come out to visit or come out to meet me. So I enjoy that. But besides that, I try to stay out of the population. Another reason why I'm trying to get to the homestead, why I want to get gardens going, grow my own food. I do want to eventually, with all my bulls that I have, my zebus, eventually get them butchered out. I won't do it because I don't have the equipment to do it. I don't have the knack for doing it. I don't have the strength for doing it. So I'll load them up in the livestock trailer eventually, take them to a butcher shop, and pay to have my own meat butchered. But I know I don't give all the hormones. I don't give all the chemicals. I don't give all the medicines. So my beef is a heck of a lot better than the Walmart beef. So with that being said, I'm tired. I'm going to go hop in the tub. I'm going to watch some TV. I'm going to try to relax because tomorrow is supposed to be 62. It's supposed to be sunny. It's supposed to be beautiful. And the homestead is not going to homestead itself. So, with that being said, I hope everybody has a great night. I hope everybody had a great week. I hope everybody has a great upcoming week. Hopefully, 2024 is treating everybody better than 2023. I'm off to a bad start, but things are happening. I'll keep working, DT. You know it. Eventually, I'll get you to come out and do some greenhouses for me and get some work done so then I don't have to do so much work. Good luck to you too, DT. But with that, take care, everybody. And remember, live happy, live free. That's the only way to be. Funny, Texas is happening. My saying still holds true. With that, have a great night. I'll talk to you guys later.